Show! Bam, man. Welcome just one more time to that His Show with your favorite journalist, Tony, on stories written by a current prisoner. You know what I'm saying? Do me a solid real quick, first and foremost, before anything, and hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Hit it like it owed you something. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go ahead and waste no time whatsoever and dive right into this interview, man. It's the Powder Show. Hit that like for your boy real quick.
Yes. Hey, first of all, thank you, Tony. Check this out, man. I just started doing these little videos again because I kind of took a break from it. I was creating my own channel, and I was starting to, develop a lot of momentum, and I was putting these little hit stories out, and I was, screening other inmates and trying to get all kinds of different factions for this video so that everybody can, get a full experience of it. Now, here's the thing. So now that I'm back over here on Isolated Minds with Mr. Tony, Mr. Hollywood, Mr. Tony, my buddy. We resolved everything that we were supposed to resolve. Sometimes in this world things happen, okay? So, I know that there's hitters and there's good storytellers on this channel. However, I'm going to go ahead and set the tone on this one, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to deliver a really, really, really good story right now, and I hope that everybody enjoys it because to me, it's not just a story, it's how you tell it, and people can determine whether or not it's authentic or not. So check this out. My last story was about Heavy. It was about my boy Heavy, who was, putting the wood pile under the impression that he was a big homie. He was breaking all kinds of violations. He was breaking all kinds of rules, and then he ended up paying the price. He ended up facing the music, and there was definitely repercussions, and he got stabbed. And in California, and these prison systems right here, everything, when you get disciplined, is with a knife. And let me tell you something, like when you get to certain prisons at certain times, so like there's certain eras that it got worse than other times because there's a circumstance that will dictate that. For instance, okay, in Salinas Valley, level 4, 180, it is crazy. It's always been known to be rocking. And I'm talking about the active mainline. I'm not talking about no SNY crap here. And I know a buddy of mine, Conejo, who tells stories on this channel as well. I brought him to this channel, and he's very familiar of a lot of the stuff that I've been through and a lot of the stuff that I share, and he's been around and he does his thing too. So you guys are going to get top of the line stories from this Isolated Mind. I promise you that. In Salinas Valley, okay, when you enter these level 4 180 prisons, like I said in the last video, there's a vision you get. There's a little vision that you get or that you have, this impression under that when you go there, what's it like and what is it? Anytime for active Caucasian white males, when you hit a level 4 180, okay, and there's northerners on those yards, everything changes. The structure, the way we operate, every single thing changes. And the reason why it changes is, and there's another faction out here in California called the Fresno Bulldogs. The Fresno Bulldogs. Anybody who hasn't heard of them or is familiar with them can definitely go on like Gangland, and they can search it for themselves and see what kind of gang this gang is, and they're very notorious. And out there in Fresno, I'm talking, these dudes are like pushing through it. They are a force to be reckoned with, and so are the Norteños. The Norteños, okay. So when you hit a yard, and we're screened, and we're communicating, and we're making everybody afloat. We're making sure that everybody is on the same page. That way, when you get onto this yard, you enter this yard, you know what time it is, okay? There's certain areas where the whites will hang out at. There's certain areas where the blacks will hang out at. Everybody has their own little territory on the main line, period. In Salinas Valley, that's the most treacherous spot to be at. Okay, when you're a white Caucasian, active white male in California prison systems, the most dangerous spot on a prison yard is at the whites' table. And the reason being is because that's where you're going to get blasted at. That's where the disciplinary action usually happens at. Okay, so there was an individual that saved my life. Okay, when I was experiencing adversity, I was experiencing it at the highest degree. Okay. the psychological, twist and the psychological damage that it does on your brain when you are on a yard, when I was in Kern Valley, and, I know that everybody knows about it and they're familiar about it, but putting this out there so that everyone understands that psychological distress that every single person who's supposed to be on your side is lying to you. Every single person. So you're sitting here and you're trying to navigate through this little, prison term, and you're doing your little time right there, and you have to determine what's real and what's not, because straight up 100% everybody's going to lie to you because you're in trouble, okay? So there was an individual when I was getting stabbed to the point where I was blacked out. I was completely blacked out. Now, I thought when you get stabbed, it's a whole different experience. Like, I don't know, maybe you go here or you go there. But for me, you got time right now? 5 minutes? Okay. And, for me, it was a crazy experience because I found myself, I've been tough. I grew up fighting. I grew up rugged. I grew up, you know what I'm saying? Whoever's the baddest, might is right. That's what I was, trained to believe. Might is right. So I found myself in the worst horrific position. I was on my back. And while this dude was straddling me with a bone crusher, the blade itself was like 7.5 inches is what it says on the paperwork. 7.5-inch blade just getting dug into my chest. And at that moment, I was experiencing nothing but pitch black. And I have no idea what that was about, but all of a sudden, as I'm experiencing this pitch black, boom, there's some sunshine. I see a ray of sunshine. I see a ray of sunlight, and I pop up like, oh, dude, I'm still alive, bro. And in the midst of this little thing, I see this individual who I'm talking about, Mr. Gonzoe from Orange County Skinheads. Okay? Now, this dude, Gonzoe, is a bad boy, okay? And when I mean bad boy, I mean this dude, he grew up in the streets of Sacramento. He grew up in the streets of Sacramento in the hardest parts. Then he went to California Youth Authority. He went to CYA, and he was just fighting every single day of his life in YA. When you go to YA as a white boy, it's all bad. These other races, they're checking you. So if you don't fight, you're just going to be a little pussy, and you're going to get punked. Every single day, they're going to take your stuff. So he learned to fight. He learned to be a badass, and he used it, and he got good at it, and he was a southpaw just like me. Now, this dude Gonzoe, oh, man, there's an individual who was from my gang. He was from my gang, and his name's Donovan Hogan. Mr. Bulldog, bro. He was an elder homeboy, comrade of mine from Kenai, and he had been guest squad for a long time. Everywhere he went, he was one of those individuals that, he always got the yard. Everything was just kind of, handed off to him. He would show up, okay, Bulldog's here. We already know that he's plugged in. He's already a seasoned veteran in this prison system, handed over. So that's what would happen, okay? Now, New Folsom, 180, level 4 prison, just as bad as Salinas Valley, okay? My homeboy, Donovan Hogan, Bulldog, has that yard. Legitimately has that yard. And what I mean has that yard, when you have a yard and you have the permission to have authority on a level 4 180 yard, that means it's approved by the AB, period. There is no misconception. There's no discrepancy about that. 100% you are approved by the AB, okay? So Bulldog is running these things. So what it means is when you're put in a position like that, it's a calculated step, and anybody who messes with you, anybody who bucks that system, you got time right here? Anybody who bucks that system.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Anybody who bucks that system, anybody who decides to go against the grain or mess with this individual, there's only one type of disciplinary action. So they're going to try to kill you.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I got 30 on. I'm going to call you back. And, so Mr. Gonzoe from Orange County Skinheads, bro. And the thing is Orange County Skinheads is one of the biggest skinhead families out here in Southern California. And not only that, there was like a little interior kind of clique that they considered that it was the elite part of OCS, and it was called Hardheads. And Gonzoe was a part of the little consensus that created hard heads. Hard heads was like super hard to get into it. So basically, in a nutshell, it was the elite of Orange County skinheads. So it's the top of the top. So Gonzoe made it there, okay? Now my homeboy Bulldog, Jonathan Hogan, like I told you, he has the authority at New Folsom Prison. Now I can't identify and tell you guys exactly who he was plugged in with and who gave him that prison, but I promise you it was a specific someone. Usually the way it works is the 180 prisons that are like up north, okay, Pelican Bay is super isolated. So around this time, the AD, they're in the SHU, and the only way that they're really like sending communication is like through their lawyers and stuff like that. So it's completely snail mail, and they don't usually, assign anybody to have those prisons. Usually it's a brother from Corcoran SHU or Tehachapi SHU. Okay, so it's definitely going to be an AD member that was from Corcoran SHU or Tehachapi SHU that gave Bulldog the yard. I'm going to assume it was probably like Pat Brady or someone along those lines, okay? So he has this authority, and he is responsible for controlling this yard. And his resume for like being in prison, bro, and doing a good job on a yard as far as leading by example and being the shot caller and being the number one person is top notch. Okay, he doesn't have any stains on his jacket. He definitely is. He has really, really, really good leadership qualities. And when you're on a 180 yard.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
When you're on a 180 yard or you're in prison and you're white, keep in mind, out here in California, the white boys are so outnumbered, it's not even funny, okay? I was in a full-scale riot, 16 white boys out of 90, so that should give you guys a pretty good idea or perspective of, what the ratio is looking like, whites per other races, okay? So he has to shine. Your job is a lot tougher, when you're dealing with, these people that really don't care about you. Okay, so he's dealing with people that actually want his position as well. Okay, and at this time, there was rules that were circulated among every state prison for the white boys, and the rules is there's no more separating among the wood file and the skinheads. There's no more of that. So everybody has to put aside their differences and all the set tripping and all the little crap that goes on between woods and skins, because the woods would take it offensive if we called them a skin, and the skins would take it offensively if we called them a wood. So they stopped that. They said it was, creating dissension among the wood pile. So he had to enforce that. And this was like literally right around the time when that got established. It was literally like at that time when it got established, when it was going on. So he's running this yard, and as he's running this yard, you have to be alert, you have to be aware of what goes on your yard. So what you do, and what he did, is he always has whoever he wants to be in charge of a certain block. So he puts someone he can trust in every single block. On a 180 yard, there's 8 blocks. They have an upper yard, and they have a lower yard. 1 through 4 is lower. 5 through 8 is upper, okay? So he's going to have someone he trusts, an individual is going to run 1 through 7 because he's going to have the block. Now what he does is he has these individuals dealing with all these little minor problems while he's dealing with the actual main business, the racial tensions and, the white boys that are really, really messing up. And it just so happened that my boy Gonzoe decided to go out to visit. Not once, not twice, not 3, but I mean over and over and over. He went to visit, and he was swapping spit and kissing on a Cambodian girl as a skinhead. As a skinhead, he was doing that. Now let me just go ahead and put this in perspective for you guys, so you understand the consequences to that. That is complete disrespect to any type of skinhead organization. Anybody who has any type of affiliation with white supremacy, dude, that is a no-no, bro. You are going to be cut off and ostracized from everything and everyone, period, once that information surfaces, okay? So what happens is it gets leaked to the yard. So it's leaked to the yard, and it gets brought to Bulldog's attention. Bulldog finds out. Somebody comes in and tells him, he says, look, check this out. Dude, I was just in visiting. Bro, Gonzoe was visiting that same Cambodian chick. And I seen him when she comes out and she first shows up, right there when you show up at visiting in prison, they give you a quick, like maybe 30 seconds to a minute to hug and kiss your significant other. And he was seen and he was identified as kissing this girl. Now, what was really going on is he was getting weed. She was smuggling in contraband weed for him, and she was doing it to the mouth. Okay, so when she was coming to see him, she would swap it right into his mouth. Boom, no one ever seen nothing, and that was that. Or at least that was his excuse and his justification for doing that. So when Bulldog hears about it, I know Bulldog. I know his personality. I know his characteristics. I know his mannerisms. And I know how he rolls, bro. And I know that he just flipped the switch. So he catches this, and he didn't even wait. He totally made this decision on impulse. Okay, usually when you're a leader, you might want to take a little minute to analyze and assess things accordingly. He didn't, and it's probably why this happened the way it happened. Okay, so when he finds out about it, literally, Gonzoe's at visit. Gonzoe's at visit when he gets the news, and he does not wait. He's so mad, and he decides that he's going to stay out there for afternoon yard till visit's over with, and he gets to run into Gonzoe. That's his plan. That's his plan. He's going to see Gonzoe coming out of the visiting room, and he's going to go sideline up to him, and he's going to stop him and confront him and find out what's going on his yard. And he don't care. He's not even thinking of what the possibilities are that can happen when you do that. Okay? He's just, I'm Bulldog, I'm P9, I got the yard, this dude's messing up, and I'm going to go let another business. That's what he's thinking 100%. So check this out. Boom, he sees him. And when he sees him, you know my boy Gonzoe, he's got like a little strut. He's got a little strut because, bro, he knows he's a heavy hitter. He knows that he's taking stuff down, and he knows his capabilities, period. And his reputation precedes himself. And I want to mention and note this in this video, rest in peace, Gonzoe, because he passed away, okay? He's dead. Now, so as Gonzoe is coming, he's completely oblivious of what's going on. He does not know that Bulldog caught word, but he is aware of how prison is, and he knows that he was identified as visiting this girl, and he knows the rules and regulations to that, especially being a skinhead anyway. So as he's walking, boom, here comes Bulldog. Hey, bro, come here. Come here, bro. And he separates them, and he detaches them from the rest of the wood pile, and he takes them by himself on a personal issue. Okay, a lot of times you'll find an individual who's running a yard, and he will try to, high side and degrade another individual in front of the woodpile just because he can, just because he has the authority to do that, okay? Bulldog and a lot of dudes that have been around a little bit longer don't do that. So he decided to take him away from the pack, and it's just him and Gonzoe taking a little walk. So taking a little walk, bro, and he stops him. He says, all right, this is far enough. Now, what's up, dude? I heard you're in there swapping spit with the Cambodian chick, comrade. Check this out, bro. I don't want to hear anything out of your mouth, bro. If you do this again, you're going to... And right then and there, Gonzoe just busted him right in the jaw, dislocated his whole jaw. I mean, his jaw went sideways. His jaw completely dislocated. Hey, Tony, listen. Hey, 3 minutes. Okay, we got 3 minutes. Completely dislocated his jaw. His jaw fell right off the hinges, fell down, completely knocked out, and Gonzoe doesn't know what to do, and the alarm goes off. The alarm goes off, bro, and Bulldog is completely mutilated, dude. But the alarm goes off, so you're like, it's a game time in prison. It's a quick split decision, bro, and he's just like, man, screw this, bro, and he just started hitting him, boom, 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 and he starts hitting him until the cops come, because that's usual protocol. That's usual protocol, bro. You go to the cops come, period. And that's what he decided to do, and he beat my homeboy. He beat Bulldog down while he was completely knocked out. Now, 100%, the viewers and everybody who's listening to this can kind of get an understanding of how messed up that really is. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't even defend himself. There's no honor in that. As a skinhead, on a skinhead, bro, there's violations, bro. And he just completely messed up. He just completely messed up. And guess what? There's a hit on Gonzoe. Hey, Tony,